Hey guys, how you doing? My name is Lena and welcome back to another video. Today, let's just get with the story first. I did a poll on Twitter because I was really confused, okay? Last week I read both The Burning God and The Grace of Kings, and I had like some thoughts on both. So I was really confused about what video should I record today. And this one won, and I'm so happy that it did, because I really cannot wait to explain to you why you should read The Grace of Kings by Kane Liu. So let me just start up by saying that the premise of this book is that once upon a time, this land was divided in 7 different kingdoms. Emperor Mapidre came and basically decided that by force he was going to unify all these 7 kingdoms into just one realm. Well, he did. So many years have passed and now his dream of peace has kind of become true. But the thing is, he just got really old really fast, so he's about to die basically, and he's afraid that his dream about having unified this whole land is going to basically go to hell. Just like literally. So that's the basic premise. I freaking love this book, okay? So if you are here for a rant review about this one, you can leave. I gave this one 5 stars. And the thing is, I don't think everyone's going to like this book. But let me just get this here. Let me just put it here. You can see it, right? As you can probably tell from the cover, this is an Asian inspired book. Mostly inspired by China and China dynasties, and just like everything that you see in this book is just like, oh, this is just so Eastern. It's fucking incredible, okay? As someone who reads like a good amount of Eastern fantasy, but super chunk of medieval, like, you know, European fantasy, this is so refreshing. It's written so differently from like other kind of Asian inspired fantasies. It was just like incredible. The first thing that might make you hesitate a bit is like, is this a plot driven book or a character driven book? Because for what I've just told you, it could probably sound like a plot driven book, and you know, the plot is not set aside by any means in any part of the book. Everything that these characters do is based around the plot. But it's a really heavy, like super focused book in the characters. It's really character driven. Like in the outside it might look plot driven, but on the inside it's really character driven. And in this point is where I think that most negative reviews came from, because some reviews were just like, this book's really slow. And I get that, but is it really slow? Because I think that it felt like that because of the way it's written. I'm not a person who just like pays really attention to the writing style. It's not something that I adore or that I can hate, so I don't really mind that. I'm basically, I don't care person with the writing style. But I have to say that the writing style in this book is so different. Like, it's just like, I wouldn't say that it's lyrical, but it's really like filled with metaphors and kind of lyrical, but it's not flowery. It's really weird. But it sometimes makes the story seem slower than it actually is, because if there's like a conquer of this city, of this realm, the book will just spend a good amount of time just describing things and comparing them to others. So that's why I believe that some people were just like, oh, this is so slow, because actually in the book so many years are just condensed in this kind of, it's not tiny, okay, but it's not that long actually. It's just like 600 pages. Yeah, 622. So it's not actually that long of a book. So many years are just condensed into this one that, no, really many things happen actually, and with many different characters. And you know, there's also this thing that sometimes it kind of feels like a textbook, because there are just like so many characters, so many different POVs, and sometimes it feels like you were just following this extremely large ramification of characters, and it was just like, oh yeah, I'm a son in this dynasty and that's it, and the history of all this realm. So sometimes it felt like more historical fiction than fantasy. But it is a fantasy, and let me tell you, it's a super huge epic fantasy. But the fantastical elements are not like that prominent. For example, you won't have like a dude making spells like all the time. No, that's not what this one is about. But one of the fantastical elements are the gods, and the gods here play like a super important role. It reminded me a lot of Malazan, where the gods could like influence the human world, but they cannot be like actively influencing humans. So they cannot be just like, oh, you are going to conquer the land ASAP, I need you to do that. No, they will kind of slowly put things in the character's path to make them take these decisions, if you know what I mean. And I have to say that there's one scene where all the gods are kind of arguing what they want for this kind of empire and what each of them want, because everyone has an agenda in this book, like everyone, even like this secondary character that just appeared like for 2 chapters, they have their own agenda. So they're all like arguing, and it reminded me a lot, it's just so stupid, okay, don't judge me. It reminded me a lot of this scene in Mulan where all the ghosts are arguing in the town. Well, same, but instead of Mushu is Emperor Mepidre, and the ghosts are the gods. Literally the same. There's also like different types of magic thrown in there, but they are not just like a huge part of the story. For example, there's a magic related to smoke. Like there are some individuals that can manipulate smoke and kind of cloud your judgment and kind of force you to make different decisions or just like be really docile. It's a really cool concept, but it's just like explored on a couple of chapters, and then it's just like, yeah, this exists. And it's going to lay there. So you are not going to have, like in these 600 pages, magical swords or magical shields or, I don't know, like huge amounts of magic in general. So if you really like that, you might be a little bit disappointed. But that's because this is mostly like a conqueror, political, intrigue fantasy. And that's where it shines, especially on its characters. Because as I've told you, this is mostly a character-driven story. And we have shit ton of characters, okay? But we have mainly 2. Even though we have different POVs, we mostly follow Mata and Kuni. These 2 main characters are so different from one another, but when they become friends, just like, this is all in the summary, by the way, it's not spoilers, but it's kind of a really kind of pure friendship. You want to support it, but you are going to root for one of the other. I hope you root for the same one that I did, because it reminded me a lot, because, you know, it was like election time in the US, and it was like, can you be friends with a Republican being a Democrat? Well, it felt the same. Yeah, that dumb note aside, Kuni and Mata are really different. So when the emperor took over the whole land, Mata was actually the son of one of these kings and queen, basically. So he was orphaned really young, and his uncle, who was like, I think 10, 9, somewhere there, took care of him, and he has been basically trained his whole life to just take revenge on the empire and the emperor and just get back to the place where he belongs. So yeah, and there's also one cool thing about Mata. He has like double pupils, and it's just like something that is brought up constantly because it's like a good omens from the gods, and it's just such a cool thing. I really like that. But yeah, and Kuni is just like the complete opposite. So he came out of nothing, basically. He is really smart. Everyone thought that he was going to be like he was going to have like this brilliant future, but he's more of a thug than anything. He's kind of a gangster for a bit. He was even a thief. He was kind of a con artist. he just, you know, he wanted to the dark side, but he has always been really ambitious, and he meets this girl called Gia, and I'm going to leave it at that because the back and forth of their relationship is just so cool. But yeah, they are both so different, and they just throw you like this different view of all that is happening, because in Kune's eyes something might be just like okay, but for example, Mata is his personality is really rooted on honor, for example. So he's just like, oh, how can you do that? It's not honorable. You should have faced him face to face. And it's just like, that's such a dumb decision. But yeah, they are constantly kind of colliding, and it's just, it's such a cool dynamic. It was such a, it was even heartbreaking sometimes. Sometimes it even kind of feel like tradition versus modernity, and it's just like something that really comes out in these fantasy settings, but it was really cool. It's one of my favorite parts of this book. Should I probably insert a clip here of me last week? So last week I was recording a reading blog for the whole week, like a weekly reading blog, but I couldn't upload it. So I might just put a clip here of me just saying that this book didn't have enough female characters when I was just like in page 300. There's kind of a lack of female characters. And that was true. But when I was reading that part, only Gia was like an important character. There were many side characters that were women, but not enough like more main characters. So I was just like a little bit disappointed. And Gia is also just like this female character that feel really traditional. Like she's really smart, but she's just like, oh, go, Kuni. You are going to do everything perfectly. I'm just going to stay home and just have children. So for a bit, it felt like a little bit meh. But then we went past the middle, and everything was just like upside down. Gia became such an interesting character. She's strong in so many different ways. She's not like, oh, I'm just going to pick this axe and cut you in half. No, she's strong in so many other ways. And the same with Kimiko was her name. Oh, there were so many similar names. Kikumi. Kikumi is a character that we don't see a lot, but has like a huge impact in the story. And she has always been told that she's pretty, and that's it. That's everything that she is going to do in her life, you know. Just be like a kind of a trophy, basically. But she's so much more than that. It's just like, I want to do something else. And it's just like, shh, you're pretty. You cannot do anything else. So yeah, she plays a huge part of the story, even though it's brief. And then we have like the, what a boss lady. I don't remember her name, but I just have always called her the Marshal. What a bad bitch. I freaking love her. Oh, she basically pretend a good chunk of her life to be a boy. But she's just like, you know what, fuck it. I'm just going to shine as a fucking woman in this stupid patriarchal society. And it's just so good. It was just so good to see. And she's just like this master strategist. She was fucking incredible. And as I've told you, everyone here has their own agenda. So sometimes you get these different POVs and you will just like, they look like so good in one POV, but now they're just like, oh damn, they're going to mess up. It's just like, again, it felt really realistic because of that. Because in a war, not everyone is going to think the same thing, even though they are on the same side. So yeah, it feels, this book is so good. I've been holding myself not selling that, but this book is just so fucking good. But yeah, the last thing that I want to tell you is that it also felt really steampunky sometimes, because they're like kind of airships that are made of silk, like the sails, and sometimes I was just like, oh, this is so steampunky. But yeah, that's kind of a little note. But yeah, those are basically my reasons of why you should definitely pick up this book, because it's fucking incredible. I really debated with myself about giving it like 4.5, 75 or 5 stars, but if I tell you the truth, it's been a week since I've read it, and I cannot stop thinking about it and about how much I want to read the sequel, because the ending was so intriguing. So intriguing. All that epilogue was everything. Every time the gods talk, it's so cool seeing their different perspectives, and it kind of felt like Civil War. Just like, One of them are just like supporting Kuni, one of them are supporting Mata, one of them, some of them are just like, I don't give a fuck, kill them all. And it's just so cool. So yeah, I would highly recommend that you check out The Grace of Kings if you like epic fantasy. But again, if you don't like those things that I said at the beginning, you might not like this book. That would make me so like sad. But I think that if more people gave it a chance, more people will enjoy it. Because I know it seems like intimidating, but it's just so good. It's just so good. Please read The Grace of Kings. If you then just want to yell at me because you didn't like it, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I will accept it. But this is 100% one of my new favorite series. This is going to make the list of my top 10 books of this year because this was such a unique fantasy. I adore this one. So yeah, we're going to leave it at that because I've been talking for like 22 minutes already. I really hope that I can cut this one down. But yeah, that's going to be all for today. Please read The Grace of Kings and let me know if you liked it or if you already read it. Please just let me know what you thought of it, if you hate it, if you loved it, whatever. I'm just open to everything. I will defend this book till death, basically. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye!